So here's the thing. When you get your notice to be on a jury, how many of y'all, myself included, get it and you're like, oh man, I don't want to take the day off from work. I had errands. But I will give you one caveat that you should always keep in mind. Based on your answer, you will be a good juror from one side or the other. So one side or the other will fight to keep you because they're like, this person's going to rule our way. Or you can say something that's disqualifying, as in, there's no way I can ever send a Black child to jail. Because the minute you say that, that is enough grounds for the judge. The prosecutor is going to be like, listen, this person said straight up, they're not going to be able to convict no matter what evidence I present.
Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. With the Carmelo Anthony trial, there was a lot of questions that have come up about various aspects of the legal process. And one of them is jury selection. A lot of people have questions about jury selection. Shout out to this very intelligent legal mind. Her name, again, is the resident legal diva. Her name is Melba. And fantastic legal mind. She breaks down in her, was it Monday with Melba? She breaks down the jury selection process. I've never seen anybody break it down as simple and make it so plain. I think it'll really help out a lot of people who have questions about the all-white jury and jury of your peers. Now, there's some questions that are going to still come up. You'll probably still have those, so definitely drop those down in the comment section. But also pay attention to the pinned as well as the description because this video is going to be in there. Let's bring Melba up here to the front of the church. Let's go, sister. How are you doing? Let's go.
Today, I want to talk to you about jury selection. Not super sexy, I get that. But in the wake of the Carmelo Anthony verdict, I've seen so much in terms of it was an all-white jury and potential jurors had gotten on, when they got called, had said, I could never see myself putting a Black child in prison. Let me break down why jury duty and jury selection is so important and what your role is in all of that. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva. Make sure to comment and subscribe to my channel so that you can get the breakdowns on critical issues impacting your life when it comes to the criminal justice system. Many of us have been watching the Carmelo Anthony trial. He was the young man who was charged with murder as a result of an altercation that occurred during a track meet. He was found guilty. There is a lot of discussion about the fact he had gotten an all-white jury. This is Texas. And of course, when we're looking at racial dynamics, not exactly the most hospitable place in terms of their history of racism and all of that. But also, there's discussion of why did he not get a jury of his peers? And the jury of his peers obviously would include some people of color. So here's the thing. When you get your notice to be on a jury, how many of y'all, myself included, get it and you're like, oh man, I don't want to take the day off from work. I had errands. I had stuff planned for that day. Most of us have that reaction. Very few people are like, oh, dope. Yes, I got selected for jury duty. Woohoo. Most people don't react like that, right? Because it very rarely does it come at a convenient time. But the difference is you should show up anyway. Because there's folks, I know straight up, will throw that summons in the garbage and not go. Here's why that's problematic. The jury that eventually judges a case, right, is pulled from a broader jury pool. So everybody who shows up in response to that summons goes into a big pool for that particular day. And then as trials start getting going for the day, the judges will call down and be like, send up X amount of jurors, etc. And then you end up going to the different courtrooms. Now, when you get there, and I want to break this down for all of you because some of you may have never done jury duty, or some of you don't know the behind the scenes of what goes on in terms of jury selection. And I can tell you all about that as a former homicide prosecutor who has spent the majority of my career, more than 2 decades, in courtrooms, right? A group of folks will come up to a particular courtroom once the judge calls for people. They need more people for what they call the veneer, right? That's basically the fancy word for the group of people that the jury is going to be selected from in a particular case. So you may have, depending, 40, 50, 60 people sitting all in the courtroom answering questions from both the prosecutor and the defense attorney, whether it be a public defender or a private attorney, and also the judge as well, because they'll ask basic questions. Are you the sole caretaker for someone, right? Whether it be a child, whether it be an elderly person, whatever the case may be, that would make you unable to sit in a case and be fully focused on that for 5 days, 2 weeks, whatever length of time they think the case will take. So
Right.
obviously, if you are a stay-at-home parent and you don't have anyone else who can swap out, that's a problem. And as such, the judge will excuse you and say, listen, you're good. Clearly, this is going to cause too much hardship if you were to sit on this case. The next category of people are sole business owners, right? If you take off and do jury duty, your business is going to shut down for that amount of time, which
it'd be
means
stressful,
you
right?
lose money. And again, judges will excuse you for that reason. If you are a student who is in school and finals are next week, obviously, or finals are in the coming weeks and the trial could bleed into that time, you're going to get excused. And then there's also the layer of, do you know somebody involved in the case? So if you know the prosecutor, if you know the defense attorney, and when I mean know, you socialize with them. Not that you've seen an ad on television or you saw them at a press conference or you happen to be at an event where they were speaking, but you never had any interaction with them. That's not what we're talking about.
And she's not going to say it, but that's also how you know the whole internet rumor that the prosecutor, the defense attorney, and the judge and all of them used to hang out and chill. You know that's not true. That's how you know that wasn't true, because they would have had to recuse themselves because they've known each other and they fraternize with one another. So that's how you know. Or I think it was Jeff Metcalf. Jeff Metcalf, the defense attorney, and the judge, or something like that. That rumor, and it was like that picture. It was an AI generated picture. That's what. That's how you know that was a fake. But shout out to Melbourne. I'm learning a lot. I really appreciate her breaking this down. Let's go.
Like you gang, you crew, you kicking it with the judge on a Saturday on the golf course, right? That kind of relationship. The judge and all the parties will ask, hey, does anybody know me? Does anybody know anyone as part of
Anybody
this
know
case?
JWhit?
Do you know the victim in this case? Do you know the defendants? You know their families? Anything like that. If you have some connection to the case in that way, in terms of one of the parties, you will be excused from being on the jury.
That's fair.
So there's all of that. Once all those folks have, shifted off because of all of the different concerns raised, then it gets into the meat and potatoes of, can you be a fair and impartial juror for this case? How that happens is through a process.
This is, and I want to bring this up real quick and pay attention to what she's saying here, because this is how, if you felt like Carmelo Anthony should have got a different verdict, or you don't think he was, there's people saying he got railroaded, blah, blah, blah. This is why that would have happened. And if you were one of those people that said what she's about to say, then you really don't have anything to say about his verdict if you felt like you're one of these people. So let's go.
As all of this is part of the broader process of voir dire. But that first part that I talked about is sort of the opening, because we can get rid of 10, 15 people right off the rip because they have these other pending concerns. Fine. Now we're just going to focus our questions on the remaining folks to find out who can be a good juror. And again, depending on what state you're in, it could be 6 jurors, it could be 12. That also depends on the level of crime
6?
as well. So all of those factors will vary from state to state. Both sides get the opportunity to ask a series of questions, which is called voir dire. And it's sort of like, have you seen any pretrial publicity on this case? Can you put that aside and focus on only the evidence that comes out of this trial, what is presented in this courtroom? Do you have any preconceived feelings, as in, oh, for sure this person's guilty, or for sure this person's innocent? I encourage everyone to be honest and transparent in their answers. But I will give you one caveat that you should always keep in mind. Based on your answer, you will be a good juror from one side or the other. So one side or the other will fight to keep you because they're like, this person's going to rule our way. Or you can say something that's disqualifying, as in, there's no way I can ever send a black child to jail. Because the minute you say that, that is enough grounds for the judge. The prosecutor is going to be like, listen, this person said straight up, they're not going to be able to convict no matter what evidence I present. Judge is going to be like, agreed, boom, and you're off.
And let me also just add that this is why it's said that court cases are won in the jury selection. I don't remember exact vernacular because, again, I'm a pre-K law student. I know nothing. I submitted to Melba and other smart legal minds. But this is that process. This is that horse trading that goes on to get the right jurors in the box who are going to rule in the way that you think they should, whether it be that your client is innocent or whether or not the defendant is guilty. So you really want to get that right type of team. And this is the process that goes on. This is where the case is won. Let's go. Shout out to Melba.
And that's how you end up with an all-white jury. So you do the math, but you have to think about the fact, and again, this is not saying that anyone should come in, misrepresent, because that's not justice either, right? And of course, if you have a deeply held conviction in terms of you're deeply religious and your faith dictates that you cannot sit in judgment of somebody else, we're not going to fight with you over your faith, right? So there's that. But if you are just like, oh my gosh, I can never send a black child to jail, well, that black child is now going to be denied of someone who may have had an open mind as to what the facts were. Because again, maybe the black child did something that they should go to prison for. All right, there's that. But also, if there is, let's say, law enforcement overreach, or you knew just from your life experience listening to the facts that what the officer is telling you is not the truth or is not consistent with your experience, you saying what you said just now gets you off the jury, and now the rest of the jurors do not benefit from your life experience. Let me give you an example. I had a scenario, and this didn't incredibly impact the outcome of the case, but it really had me thinking about the importance of having that variety of jurors. I was trying an attempted murder case. It was a domestic violence, intimate partner violence type case. Okay. And the victim had talked about the path that she took to escape her partner at the time who had tried to murder her. And the police officer got on and said, well, I chased the defendant down this street. Well, later on, before it came time to deliberation, one of the jurors actually raised their hand, and the judge had to have a whole separate, write a note, what's the issue, blah. And they were like, listen, I know that the particular avenue that the detective or the police officer referred to goes north-south. He made it sound like it was an east to west type of a chase, and that's just not possible. And so that juror's knowledge of the area was really important in terms of correcting something that was factually wrong. So the point is, when you come in as a juror, you're bringing in your entire life experience.
Right.
And that is what speaks to someone getting a jury of their peers. So before you say something that's disqualifying, there is absolutely no way I can find this person guilty. There is absolutely no way this person is innocent. I know for sure that they did it, blah, blah, blah. Those type of extreme statements will get you struck. Mm-hmm. And some people know better than others not to say things like that, despite what they may have in their head. So again, when we think about these broader stories, why is there an all-white jury, all of that? Yes, there could be something nefarious, nasty, and hella gully going on, right? It could have been the prosecutor deliberately trying to make sure black folks get struck off the jury. Or it could be the defense too, all right? Because remember, inappropriate behavior can happen on any side. There's case law around that. It's not always as easy to prove as you would like, usually, and that's a whole other set of situations. Sound off if you want me to do a video about that, because that gets really quick. But yes, sometimes it's something nefarious, but sometimes it's just as simple as people not understanding the game and saying the wrong things. So again, govern yourself accordingly. But the most important thing I want you to take away from this video, show up to jury duty, because we can't pick from who's not there. Right? Is whoever's in the room. And if no black people show up, guess what? This is who we're picking from, right? If a whole bunch of black people show up, now there's more variety. But if you're not in the room, can't complain afterwards. Food for thought. I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva. Stay safe, Stay informed and keep demanding justice. Take care.
Shout out to Melba. I really appreciate that. That was super informative. And I hope you learned something a little bit about that. Now, of course, she didn't address the theories and the internet rumors about the all-white jury, but she did say, like, if you're upset about there being an all-white jury, were you one of the people that said I could never convict them? Because that's why you weren't there. Shout out to her for sure. I appreciate it. That was very informative. I hope you learned something. Comment down below what you thought about it. Of course, check out Melba's video. Let her know we appreciate her doing this and giving her her insight. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.